What is storytelling? Storytelling started with our indigenous people. Can anyone give me an example of a myth or a story they're afraid of?
Hi, Keri, nice to meet you. First of all, congratulations on the movie. I would like to start talking about your character. Who is she? How can we relate to her?
In Antlers, I play Julia, who is a teacher, and she comes back to the town she grew up in. And I think she is, I would say, is trying to right some wrongs that happened from when she was younger. And in that process of coming back home, she encounters a student who is dealing with his own problems and is hiding some secrets that she sees. And I think in trying to save him, she's trying to also save some part of herself. And then the adventure begins.
You act with a kid in a very delicate situation in difficult scenes. So how was it?
You know, it's interesting working with kids. Sometimes it can be really helpful because they're very present sometimes. You know, they can be very scared or find something really funny. They can be very present in a way that adults aren't always. So if you catch those moments, it can be really interesting as an actor. And they just have to trust you, you know, because you're a strange adult to them. But this kid is so specific and interesting looking, and I just think he's a really good actor.
Yeah. So you have a brilliant career, and I would like to know, what is it like to do a horror movie? What is the difference from other films?
You know, you don't enter it thinking you're going to act, and you think about it, you come into it the same way as any other project. But I was really intrigued and wanted to work with Scott Cooper. I really loved his film Crazy Heart, and that sensibility and the heart and kind of truth in it. And I just thought the combination of him doing a horror movie under the umbrella of Guillermo's whole world, creating those monsters, I thought it was a really elegant version of a horror movie to try to do. And I was glad they chose me.
Which scene was the hardest to do?
Oh, there's some pretty hardcore stuff towards the end and involving little kids. And it's hard, you know, but it's this fantastical, epic horror movie. And it goes there.
What do you think is the main message of the movie?
That's interesting, because there's many ways to look at it. And I would like to hear Scott's version of what he would say, because it ends in a very unique way. So I actually don't know what I would say what the message is. But what I will say is it's a really strong, haunting, beautiful horror movie, you know, with all of the elements that Scott Cooper's movies have that I really appreciate, but all of that really heightened, classy horror movie magic that Guillermo's movies have. And, you know, like, movies are finally back in the cinema, and these kind of movies have to be seen big. You know, they're not for your bed watching on a laptop. These movies, they need the big screen, and you have to experience it with other people. That's what scary movies are. So I'm really glad they held this and waited for it to be in theaters.
What's going on?
We found a part of a man in the woods today.
Part of the man?
I guess the other half was found in the mine. All this has got to be an animal, right?
Hi, Scott. Nice to meet you. So this is your first horror movie, right? How was it?
Well, it is my first horror film, but because I make films in all different genres, I think it's important to know the great films that come before you in whatever genre you're making a film. And some of my favorite films are films that deal in a very grounded way with the horrors that we all experience. And this film is really about holding up a dark mirror to the fears and anxieties that we as Americans are experiencing today. And I wanted it to be immersed in the supernatural, but to feel very, very realistic.
And it also has an important message about the environment, right? How can we relate the story of the movie to the present?
Well, look, the greatest fear and anxiety that I have, and the greatest crisis that we all face in the globe, is the climate crisis, and we're running out of time. And it's critical that our leaders take the necessary steps to cut greenhouse gases around the world, and to have much cleaner energy, solar and wind, and hopefully this weekend's summit, or next week's summit in Glasgow, we can all as a world come together and make the necessary changes that we need. Because if we don't, antlers won't be the scariest thing that you deal with. Real life will be the scariest thing, and it's coming for us. So no time better than now.
What is it like on set when you have a kid doing stuff involving blood? What precautions did you have to take?
Well, there were a lot of challenges in this film, but the biggest challenges were working with two young actors who were dealing with very serious material, and making sure that I always reminded them that this is a big sandbox we're playing in, and that none of this is real, because they were in some dark attics, and they were in dark mines, and dealing with some tough emotional material that's tough for even adult actors and professional actors, and these are not professional actors. So I just tried to make them feel as comfortable as possible, took as many precautions as we could. Safety is always first on my sets, and to make sure that there's a real chain of command and everybody knows that safety is the most important thing on a film set.
And what's the difference between making a horror movie and every other movie?
Well, the horror genre is replete with really incredible horror films, and people love to be scared. And the big challenge is you want to scare them, but you also want to scare them with things that feel very realistic. It's easier to scare with monsters and jump scares and lots of foreboding music, which you see in a lot of horror films. But I wanted to scare people with the mundane things that we're dealing with every day: generational trauma, abuse, addiction, the climate crisis, all the sort of things that might not appear to be scary, but in fact are the scariest of all.
So Guillermo del Toro is the film's producer. What was it like working with him?
It was a dream. Guillermo is a really generous filmmaker, great friend. I would not have made this film without him.
He'll come for me. He needs me.
So here in Brazil, we love horror movies. Can you send us a message?
And I love Brazil. I hope you love Antlers. And Brazil has been in my thoughts for months now, because I know that you've really had a difficult time with the coronavirus. And I'm happy to hear that things are certainly starting to trend in a more positive direction. Hello to Brazil, and I love you.
Just please go see this movie. I think it's a hauntingly beautiful, scary movie to watch.
Thank you. Bye-bye.